Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.
All right. Welcome to another edition of the Board Report, brought to you by Gus Curran's House of Champions. The Board Report was developed under the umbrella of Indian River Connections and the different podcasts that we do. I have Joanne here from Binford Chronicles is one of the podcasts, and then Mike in the backstage is from To The Point. So welcome, everybody. How you doing, Joanne?
Doing great. How are you doing?
Good. I'm excited for another edition of the Board Report. We got some exciting things going on in the City Council and the County Commission with the fluoride in the water, and we got some guests that we're going to be bringing on, and it's going to be an exciting episode. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with the discussion. What have you been up to this week? Anything exciting?
It's been a busy week. I've been watching the CPAC and what went on with CPAC and the J6ers that got kicked out of CPAC. We saw that on X. It's been a busy 2 months since Trump took over, because last month was the protest against the borders, right? Deporting people. And then we had the Democrats protesting against Doge. Why they would protest against Doge, I have no clue. It's clueless. And and then we've got our own Board of County Commissioners with the Children's Services Advisory Committee, where we're wondering, do we need to have a Doge here?
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's been a lot of questions. People thinking, like, would we need a Doge here to check out where the money's being going and what's going on with it? And obviously, with our guest tonight with the fluoride, that's another thing that we have to look into. That's informed consent. We need to be informed of what is happening and what's being put in our water and where our money is being spent. So it makes total sense. And I think the swamp runs deep. So maybe Doge needs to run deep in the swamp down here as well. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring on, we'll bring them on. We're going to go to a break right here real quick, and a little word from our sponsor, and then we'll be back with the fluoride, and we'll be back with Deana and Justin from We Are Change Orlando.
Pay attention every second. Don't do stupid shit.
Tired of the same old workout? Come knock out your fitness goals at Gus Curran's House of Champions. Founded in 1996 right here in Vero Beach, Florida. Our Hall of Fame trainers will push you to your limits and beyond. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, we have the perfect class for you, including the one-of-a-kind rock-steady Parkinson's training. So come join the fight and unleash the champion inside you. Give them a call, 772-713-1157, or go to gchouseofchampions.com.
Pay attention every second. Don't do stupid shit.
Thank you for you, Miss Akari. Anyone else? Seeing none, meeting's adjourned.
Yeah, start it over.
I agree with everything that she says. Oh, my name is Deana Accardi. I agree with everything she says. I also would like to add that the federal court's finding that fluoride is associated with the neurotoxic effects, particularly in reduced IQ in children, amplifies concerns about the public health risk of fluoridation. These findings support the recommendation to abolish the fluoridation program and a careful reassessment of the legal risk under Florida statutes 859.01 and 381.026, which could expose the city to liability for administering a medical treatment without informed consent and exposing residents to hazardous substances. Our Lisa Eden had emailed Sean Liskey, who's the director of the utility services, and he answered questions about what is actually in this system. And so one of them, which I looked up, was hydrofluoric acid. So when you look up hydrofluoric acid, there is a skull and bones, and it says danger may be corrosive to metals, harmful if swallowed, toxic in contact with skin, causes severe burns and eye damage. And we are putting this in our drinking water. We're drinking it, we are bathing in it, we are cooking with it, our children are swimming in it, and they're getting exposed. Our skin is like sponges. And so I just don't consent to this, in our water system. I am fortunate to have an Alini system as well, but not many people have that luxury of getting this system to remove the fluoride out of their water. I hope you guys, we had sent information to both Joe Ehrman and to you, Fletcher. I met Laura Moss at one of the Hispanic Republican meetings, and so we just want to do what's right. 36 counties have removed this out of their systems, and there's some happening today. As we speak, I was praying and hoping that this was going to be one of those days that our county was doing that, and unfortunately it's not on the agenda, but please consider putting it on next month's agenda so we could, get this out of our systems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for you, Ms. Akari. Anyone else?
All right. What's up, guys? Got Justin and Deana. How you guys been?
Meeting's adjourned.
It's good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for being on. We really appreciate it. It's been a pretty popular topic here in our community, and Justin, that you've been heading up this whole thing and in the state of Florida on the fluoride in the water, and you just give us a little overview of how you got going and what you've been doing to get it going, and how you got Deana involved here in Indian River County.
Yeah, it was. It's been a long road. It started 8 to 10 years ago when we started barking about this issue, and it was just, it fell on deaf ears. There was no momentum. It was still such a fringe idea, and we couldn't really get anywhere. But now, fast forward to today, we just have so much momentum, unprecedented, with this federal court ruling. That was followed by, and for those that don't know, the federal court ruling deemed that fluoride and a lower IQ had an association. That this prompted the Florida Surgeon General to issue guidance across Florida to stop fluoridation in all cities and counties. And we just quickly, what I like to do is to just jump on a wave of momentum, whether it be a documentary, a whistleblower, a new bill, some type of revelation, and we take it and run with it. And I said, oh my gosh, this is finally our opportunity to get the fluoride out of the water. So we just hit the ground running and just, contacting these local council members and telling them to heed the guidance of the medical and scientific professionals that have made their statement and get on board. And we've had 15 cities and around 4 counties remove the fluoride since his guidance. It's just been like a crazy ride to see that many actually do it. And Deanna's doing great work down here in Vero and Indian River, and we're just trying to knock them off one by one and trying to guide the citizens in each local area to, how to go about it and how to get it done as quick as possible.
Nice. And Deana, tell us a little about, how you got involved and that was you obviously in the county commissioners meeting, getting the ball rolling here in the community and showing people that, we have to speak up because it's, informed consent.
Well, I started following this story when it happened in Collier County, which is Naples. And then I've been following Justin. And so seeing how he's been involved, I reached out to him like, hey, we're trying to do this here. Like, any advice? And I reached out to people in Collier County as well. And so they started sending me a bunch of information and connecting me with people to try to get this going in our county. I was working with 2 other people too. We started in May, and we started setting up meetings with our county commissioners, starting with Joe Ehrman. And we sent him information, and we talked to Joe Fleischer, and, they just didn't respond back to us. We had individual meetings with them and didn't respond back to us. And then I reached out to Laura Moss when she was at that Hispanic meeting and spoke before the elections here. And, she was all for it. And then we didn't hear anything about it. And then all of a sudden the momentum just started, heating up everywhere. And so I'm just like, all right, we really need to press on this right now because, we need to work on this and get it out of our system here.
Yeah, 100%. And, for those that don't know, Justin, I followed you as well during COVID, and you know what you were doing in Orlando, and that's how you and I hooked up on Facebook, just as random friends, just because we were resonating with what's happening in our state and what's happening in our country. And so you reached out to me recently because you saw some mutual scenarios happening, and next thing you know, here we are, you know, speaking to each other now.
Yeah, it's been it's the likeness of those two things that you can draw so many parallels from the COVID and the fluoride thing as well. You've got forced medical treatment without informed consent. And I think that's what's helped so much too, is you've got council members and regular residents going, wait a minute, forcing a medication on me without my consent, and I don't know the ingredients, and I'm not really informed on this. Like, this sounds familiar. Safe and effective, trust the experts. So that has helped a lot. You know, it's not just this court ruling, it's this post-COVID world where we don't trust those institutions as much. It wasn't just this small group of people. It's large swaths of conservatives and, you know, non-political people that are just like, no, we're not going for this anymore. So, and just to clarify on the blue dot map, you know, there's a lot of blue dots on there. Around 40 counties do not fluoridate, but around 20, I haven't got the official number because it's really hard to find out, but I think around 20 never even fluoridated. So we've probably had 10 or 12 remove it county-wise over the last year or so, but only about 4 or 5 have either directly removed it or inadvertently by the final city removing it.
Yeah, that's I didn't even realize that. That's interesting to know. So, Deana, tell us a little more about what's the most harmful ingredient, what's the most harmful toxics that are in this water, and what people should be informed about on what to look for, what to understand. Because my hope is that, and the timing has worked out so well that the TC-POM sent out an article just before we went live that they're looking into it with the city council to get the fluoride out of the water. Tell people what they need to look into and really research it, and what's really the harmful effects of what they're putting in the water.
Well, it's not natural fluoride, as like some people will say. It's hydrofluoric acid, and that has, you know, brain effects, reduced IQ, ADHD, thyroid issues. Like that kind of fluoride depletes our iodine, which we need for our thyroid, which a lot of people know. You know, they have thyroid issues. It's like inflammation, arthritis, dental fluorosis, and it crosses over into the placenta. So, you know, hearing a lot of the debates going on at these meetings, they're just, you know, saying it helps, you know, pregnant women with their teeth cavities, you know, to prevent that. But it's not, because do you want like a broken brain, or do you want no cavities in your teeth? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Nothing makes sense. So it says chemical name fluorocytic. What is it? Fluorocyclic acid and hydrofluoric acid. So
yeah,
explain. Yeah. What's the difference between the two?
Justin, would you know more of that?
Yeah, and honestly, those two, that's probably not even really super relevant, because it's just like a part of the chemical compound. You know, you're either going to see a city adding hydrofluorosilicic or hydrofluoric or hexafluorosilicic. It's going to be one of those variations. It's basically a chemical waste from the phosphate industry. You know, what happened is back a long time ago, they found a creative way to dispose of a really costly toxic waste from the phosphate smokestacks. They would scrub them, and off of these scrubbers was this substance, and they had nothing to do with it. It cost a lot of money to dispose of. So they found a way to sell it to municipalities as a fluoridating agent. And it's not naturally occurring, like Deana's saying. It doesn't come from the ground. It is a chemical waste. You know, we've had utility workers speak at these meetings and talk about how dangerous and corrosive it is to the staff, the equipment. You know, we had a mayor go down and tour a water plant. They were like, now you have to stand back because this stuff will eat through the concrete. You know, it will eat through the glass, fiberglass, just about anything. It can kill you very quickly. So it's interesting that a lot of the utility people who are non-political are like, you know, we can't have an opinion, but we prefer not to deal with this because it's really dangerous. And then the light bulb goes off too, is why are we drinking that? Why are we putting that in our body? Even if that highly toxic chemical waste is good for the front of my teeth, why am I putting it inside my body? Why are infants drinking it where you can't control the dose? It's just lunacy, I think. And most people, I'd say, especially 10 years ago, 90% of people on the street have no idea that it's not naturally occurring. And if they knew, they wouldn't just say, oh, what's the big deal? It's good for your teeth. And that's why we don't have informed consent. Nobody even knows what's in the water.
I gotcha. And that's one thing that I always, notice when people look at the dentist and like the dentist want to put fluoride on your teeth when they're done cleaning your teeth. Is that the same thing, or is that something different, or is it, yeah.
Slightly different. That's typically sodium fluoride. I'm pretty sure the stuff at the dentist is the same thing in the toothpaste tube. Now, when you turn that over, it says don't swallow it or contact poison control. So enough said, right? Pick your poison, really.
Literally.
Yeah.
People are getting over fluorinated with the water in their toothpaste and their mouthwash, and it's over the amount.
Yeah. And it's a big part of the awakening process too, because it does calcify your pineal gland. So it's part of that process of calcifying, be able to think for yourself, to be more lethargic, to be more dumbed down, to be, like you said, the IQs drop, and it's doing it to the kids, and the kids are the ones they want to go after, especially with the pharmaceutical industry. That makes sense. Wow. That's that. I'm sure I've understood this, but I'm a little bit thrown by it too. Why didn't some of the other counties not have it in the water in the first place? Is it something where people knew that it was bad, or is it just by default?
No, it's the more rural you get, the rural communities are going to have well water.
Okay.
Well water communities, rural areas, they don't have a big water facility treatment plant, so they just weren't fluoridated to begin with. It wasn't an easy way to get it to them.
Gotcha. That's understood. Yeah, that makes sense too. Okay. So Deana, what's the best way for people to get involved, to get in touch with you, to show up at these meetings and speak out? I mean, I know we have people that watch that were a part of the school board issues and the masking back in, during COVID and the vaccines and things of that nature that were willing to go to the county commissioner meetings to speak up about the mandates and things of that nature. So I think we need to start rallying some folks in the community to do the same. And what would be the best way to do that?
I mean, I started a Facebook group, the Fluoride Free Indian River County, and Justin and I both post, information up there. People could email me directly or call me directly if they want to get, I'll help them and tell them, how to get involved and where to show up. But usually the meetings happen every 2 weeks. The next one is the 25th. And, they have public speaking at the end of the meeting where you could just walk up and tell them what you want. And so I'm trying to get people to show up and just say, we would like this on the agenda so we could talk about it and vote about it, and we don't consent. We do not consent. That is the bottom line. We do not consent to being medicated.
No, it makes total sense. I mean, that's, informed consent is a big part of it. And I knew that from during COVID. I was going to the pharmaceutical, to the Walgreens and things of that nature, and asking for the package inserts and asking for that kind of stuff, just to inquire for myself, because I wanted to see if this is really true. Like, there's no informed consent? What are they putting in this stuff? Are they telling people what it is? I went and questioned it, and you get pushback from it. But I think now people are starting to awaken to the process of being able to see it and be able to want to speak their truth and come to these meetings and do that. And I know that, Justin led the way, during COVID, and he's leading the way for this as well. So, I mean, I really have to admire you guys for doing this. And I hope that we can get more people involved and do this and get more people to come out to these meetings.
They need to hear from the people that they don't want it. It's just only a handful of us right now. And so we need it on a larger scale.
Yeah, 100%.
Call or show up or email, something that,
What's the best way to, where are we standing in River County right now? I know we have this thing from Taylor Dingle that I'm going to put up on the thing. And where are we standing with the county and the city right now?
So the county right now is I'm just showing up at the meetings and I'm requesting they put it on the agenda. I switched it over to city because I said, let me, work with city now. So I spoke with the mayor and I spoke with Taylor Dingle, and he is actually on our side. He's willing to help us, get it. Right now, he just sent out a letter to have a discussion about it. Okay. But the other two council members need to hear from their constituents. They need to hear that, they do not want this. They, where there is risk, there must be choice, and there is no choice. It's not a one size fits all. Not everybody can take the same dosage, and they're dosing us with this, and then other people are being over medicated.
Justin, what's your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, and just remember, it doesn't take like an army of people. We do need numbers, like Deana said, but if you can't speak or you don't like speaking, send an email, make the phone call, call the utility director. You can just like play dumb and ask questions. It doesn't have to be do it now, and you don't have to be able to convince them and be super knowledgeable. Sometimes just saying that you're a local resident and you're calling to check on the fluoride situation, you're wondering what's going on. Is it going to be on the agenda? I see all these other cities removing it. What do you think about the most recent city? What do you think about the recent study? You can just ask questions, and sometimes that applies enough pressure. We've done this with like 4 to 8 people speaking at a meeting. We've done this with a handful of people sending emails. So don't underestimate the power of like one email, going to the meeting. Even if you don't go to the meeting and speak for 3 minutes and know all your fluoride facts, you can just walk up and say, I agree with the last 2 speakers, and I just don't consent to this being in my water. Please give us a choice. Thank you. And that's it. So just keep applying that pressure. We've got crazy momentum, and we can help you do the heavy lifting. Me and Deana can guide you. We can send you guides and email templates. And once you start getting the ball rolling, we're going to be hammering them too from behind the scenes, calling them, giving them more information. Sometimes it's just all about educating them. They're busy people. They might not care sometimes. So you've got to just spoon feed them the information, show them what other cities are doing, make it so they don't have to like go redo all the work. Give them bite-sized chunks of information in your email, not to overwhelm them, but educate them about fluoride and the process of how other people are getting it out. And it does work. We're watching it happen. So.
Yeah, I've been watching the progress since you guys started, and it definitely, you can see that the wins that you're getting, you're getting more and more wins, and I think that's part of what we went through in 2020 with everything else that went over the last 4.5 years of people being able to see that you want to speak up. I mean, it happened to me with the school board meetings, of me going to the meetings and end up getting fired from a job because of that reason, because I spoke out against the masks and the mental health and the kids being medicated and things of that nature. So I had to learn on my own to be like, oh, wow, I speak my truth. And then, wow, look what happens. All of a sudden I'm like in big trouble now. I got to lose my job and I got to be like an enemy of the people. But at the same time, it was like, no, it worked out to where we're doing this. And we developed a podcast called The Board Report and doing these things to be able to have this platform to get it. So I think we're more equipped this time around to be able to do these things and to be able to get the word out there. And you really did a hell of a job leading the way, Justin. You really did. I mean, I'm thankful that you reached out to us.
Appreciate that. Well, thank you for the support. I can't do it alone. We gotta have the local residents, just like she said, with the local groups and the local residents, that it adds so much weight.
Yeah, it does. And Deana, you know as well. I mean, you're out in the community, you're speaking to people, you're letting people know what you're doing. You're not afraid to go up to them and talk to them. And I know you've gone around to different events in town, the Republican Hispanic group and different places like that. And if there's any other places to speak at, I'm sure that people would reach out to you and have you come and speak as well, or even be on another podcast, like Justin, being on our podcast. I'd like to have other people be on other people's shows. So if you can get onto other shows and do this the same way, that'll help build the momentum as well,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. Because we have other podcasts too, the Binford Chronicles. I'm sure you can get on her show and To the Point podcast. It's an umbrella of what we do here with Indian River Connections and the Board Report. So I think we're going to go take a quick break, and we'll do another segment after this. I don't know if we'll have Thomas from Sunshine Journal on yet. I don't see him in the back room, so we might just come back and do the panel and have some questions for the panel that we have. Joanne and Mike are in the green room, and so they'll pop on. I'm sure they're itching for some questions, because I know that they're like, whoa, this is a little bigger than I realized, and this is a little deeper than it needs to, than we where it's going. So we'll be right back. We're going to take a little quick break, and then we'll come back with the panel.
Pay attention every second. Pay attention every second. Don't do stupid shit.
Tired of the same old workout? Come knock out your fitness goals at Gus Curran's House of Champions. Founded in 1996 right here in Vero Beach, Florida. Our Hall of Fame trainers will push you to your limits and beyond. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, we have the perfect class for you, including the one-of-a-kind rock-steady Parkinson's training. So come join the fight and unleash the champion inside you. Give them a call, 772-713-1157, or go to gchouseofchampions.com.
Pay attention every second.
Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite. Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite, honor, and provide support for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members. The foundation will enable them to find the help they need through direct assistance or by connecting them with our shared vision network. Using data-driven models, we provide solutions that make a long-lasting difference. We, along with our partners, are dedicated to bringing together like-minded groups and individuals who have committed to making a difference in the lives of our hardworking, everyday heroes. We bridge the gap by connecting warriors or their families with the assistance they deserve and require, such as service dogs, wheelchairs, counseling, scholarships, and team building retreats, to name a few. You can help right now to make a difference for those who have helped protect us all. Warrior Shield Foundation, selflessly doing for those who need it most.
It's a long way to home, but you won't take the hard road all alone. Just look to your left and look to your right. You were born to fight. You were born to fight.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
Great information. I don't know why all of a sudden I'm hearing an echo, but great show and great information. I can't help. I've got questions. Like I can't help but ask. Maybe I missed it, or maybe it's just not a good enough reason. Why are they putting this stuff in our water?
Yeah.
I mean, I know like the reason why the chemical company is offloading it, but what's the reasoning? Like, what could be the reason for putting unregulated dosages of this chemical in our drinking water?
Yeah. What's the benefit?
Powerful interests and strong propaganda campaigns, dental lobbying groups, convincing people that it's good for your teeth. It's sort of the we've got to do this or else kind of idea. You know, the same thing they do with the climate change or the COVID vaccine narrative. You know, we got to do this or everybody's going to die. We got to do this.
You can help. You can help right now.
So that was the whole. That was the selling. That was the sell. You know, and they convinced everybody of that. And once they did that. It was it. Now everyone's scared to not do it.
It's crazy. Now, I do any bottling companies do this?
Yeah, so most bottled water actually still contains fluoride as well. So you've got to buy bottled water that specifically says fluoride-free, non-fluoridated. But your standard, you know, Dasani, Zephyr Hills, all that garbage, you know, basic water brands, they all have fluoride and probably other things. And they've been sitting in warehouses in plastic. I don't particularly buy bottled water either, unless I'm just on the road in a pinch.
So I heard, Deana, I heard you mention a particular water system. What do you recommend for people to do right now while they're waiting for these governments to get off their ass?
There's a company called Alini that I found actually when I was visiting Naples. And they have a warehouse, I think, south of here. There's also a local person called Ohana, and I met the owner, Mike. He's awesome. So I would look into those two systems. And they do have fluoridation, like you know, filters that you can put onto the whole system. You know, I mean, that was the first thing that I did when we bought our house. I didn't have any furniture. I had to get the water, you know, filtration system.
Water first. Yeah. I'm fortunate. I live out in the outskirts of town, so we're on well water, which is sometimes questionable too. But I feel definitely safer that it's not being ran through a treatment center. Like I don't know, you know, our water shouldn't have to be treated. I think it's great information, and it's scary too. Like you said, I mean, there's some counties that just didn't do it from the get-go, but for these other municipalities to be suckered into doing this or paid off into doing this, it's crazy to me.
And you know, when they go after the areas, it wasn't just that it was rural counties on well water. It was, okay, where are the most populated areas that we can sell as much of this toxic waste as we possibly can, and you know, be able to make a profit and get rid of it easily. So they would go after, you know, Orange County, Miami-Dade County, Pinellas County, big cities. And why go after the rural, no-name county with just people on well water? It's way too hard to distribute it. You know, it's just they went after the cash cows and the city centers.
Crazy.
So is there a link to it to cancer? Have they done any studies on that?
Yeah, so there's links to mostly lowered IQ. I mean, 7 years ago, I went into the Orlando meeting and took a stack of 50 studies of lowered IQ just in children. And there's more in adults and other things, but it's bone brittleness, arthritis, dental fluorosis, which messes up your teeth, which is funny because it's supposed to help your teeth, skeletal fluorosis.
Have they done any studies on that?
Yeah, there's studies on all of these things that I'm mentioning. Arthritis, dental
fluorosis.
messes up your teeth, which is funny because it's the other one. Skeletal.
Have they done any studies on that?
Yes. Yeah, there's studies on all of these.
Sir?
Something is echoing.
These studies, these things that I mentioned. Arthritis, mostly.
Have they done any studies on
Hold on.
Yeah, skeletal. Yeah, there's studies on all of these.
Something is echoing.
Things that I mentioned.
Something is echoing.
That was, sorry, that's John.
No problem.
Something happened. So back to the studies. Where can people find more information on those studies?
They're all actually in one place, which makes it really easy. Actually, two places. The Fluoride Action Network, and their website is fluoridealert.org. They have a toolkit for taking action. They have all the studies, and you can also go to Green Med Info. Green Med Info is Sayer G and some other great people that have compiled all the studies. I think it's over 200 of something, just all in one place, and you can really go pour through them.
Wow, that's great. I see John is back. I don't know, maybe we had a little glitch. John, you're back with us?
Yeah, a little glitch.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, John, I threw you off the stage.
It's all right. I couldn't figure it out. I appreciate you guys for joining the board report and for helping what we do. This is what we want to do, is inform whoever we get to tune in on these important decisions being made at these city council meetings and school board meetings and stuff like that. But I look forward to seeing progress along the state, you know. Now you guys are particularly state, or do you, Justin, do you go national? What is your scope of work in this?
Really just working on the state of Florida. You know, it's really hard for us to work anywhere further than that. And we got a big state, and we know if we can knock off Florida, that's one of the biggest states that was leading with COVID. If we lead with this, we can set an example for the other large, you know, more red states and just send a shockwave across the country. I also want to give a quick shout out to Stand for Health Freedom. You can go to their website where it shows all of our progress. There's a fluoride toolkit on how to take action in your city. And that is the group that helped remove it in Naples and Collier County, and that has really been helping me and everyone really with this whole thing, push this through across the state. And that's Stand for Health Freedom.
Stand for Health
Freedom.
Mm-hmm. And they are national. So like if you want to go national with this, or you want to go, and they handle everything. I mean, we're talking weather modification, vaccine mandates. This is a great group to follow if you're in any other state as well, because they really work on legislation and getting things done on local and state levels.
That's awesome.
Very good. Well, Deana, I want to say thank you because you gave me the courage to go to the county commission, and you sent me a little more information, and that was the first time that I stood up to talk about the fluoride. So anybody out there, if you've never done it, I never did it before, and I got up there, and Deana showed up to be there with me. So she was the backup support, and it's really good. It's important. So don't be afraid. Just step out of your box and go and call somebody, and somebody will show up to join you.
It is awesome. You guys, It's great courage. I did have one more question, and I know you mentioned legislation. Considering the Maha movement, do you see any hope in state level legislation?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. There's actually a bill has been presented in Florida. A senator and congressman have put forth a bill to ban fluoride across the state. And then you've got RFK Jr., who was just confirmed, who said he's going to advise through however that would work, CDC, FDA, to basically advise against it as well. I think when that happens, you're going to see not just dominoes, but an avalanche, because then, you know, these people that are still falling back on the CDC and the ADA, they're not going to have those federal people to stand behind anymore. You know, you're going to have the state, the county, federal, the court case, all these people were moved. There's just going to be no reason to keep doing it. So there is one thing I do worry a little bit about state action. I'd rather undo it county and city by city, because if, let's say they ban it across the state tomorrow. Well, what if we get a horrible governor after DeSantis and they walk in and then they reverse it? Well, now all those cities can just start refluoridating. If we remove it city by city, county by county, pass an ordinance, put it on the books, they throw away all their expensive equipment, it's never coming back. They'd have to do it one by one, get all the citizens to rally behind it again. That ship has sailed. No one's going to believe in fluoride again. So if we keep doing it the way we're doing it, I'll be happy to have their big recommendations to make it happen quicker. But I'd almost prefer to do it the way we're doing it, because it's going to just solidify it forever.
So that kind of answers my next question is, if it was state legislation that passed, I was going to say, does that mean it's vacation time, or do you motor on to get these counties and municipalities to just, I mean, in namesake, adopt that?
Well, I believe if we get state legislation and it passes, they'll be forced to do it ASAP. So I think it will be a short vacation, and then it will be on to weather modification and smart cities and everything else.
So even if it does get passed at the state level, we can't still go city by city and get them to pass ordinances to prevent what you said?
That's a good question. I don't really know the dynamic of how that would work. I'd have to check with people who know more about, you know, what the hierarchy or the overlap is there with who makes the rules.
Because what you said makes sense. We could get an Andrew Gillum or somebody like that next here in Florida and undo everything.
Right.
Because who knows?
Well, you're right. What I was going to say is kind of like, you know, with Trump writing all these executive orders, the problem with the executive orders is when he's no longer president, the next president comes in and nullifies everything. So the bills that can become bills, that's what the next initiative should be, to make it a bill that is written and stays in place. And if it's not for the whole state of Florida, then you go county by county and try to get those resolutions in there so they're in place, so that people have to go and fight to get them off. Because now you have the support. You know, once you have that support, it'll be easier to push for those ordinances or bills to get passed.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
I say we take another break. Thank you, Justin and Deana. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with our audience?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't consent.
Do not consent.
Say when they get up there, if they don't know too much about the subject, but they're concerned, what is the most important phrase they should get up there and say?
I am a local resident, and regardless of how you feel about fluoride, I simply want the right to choose whether this is put in my water or not. I think that's the strongest thing, because even I've debated a dentist on Fox and out front. He came out and said, I can't really argue with that whole freedom to choose angle, because you guys have a good point there. They can keep telling you it's good for your teeth, but I don't care what's good for my headaches, my teeth, my feet. You can't force me to take it.
Right.
That's it. Free and sovereign beings. Being free is our birthright, and that's really what it comes down to. And that's the best way to put it, like you said. And I think that's, if you really go back in time, I mean, during COVID, you would realize that that's all people had to say was like, I don't consent to this. That's it. I don't consent to wearing a mask. I don't consent to 6 feet apart from my kids and quarantining my children. I don't agree with it. But it didn't work that way. But now the reverse psyop is working, and people are starting to see it and starting to realize it, that I am free and I don't need to do this to my body. So it's a great way to put it, Justin.
Yeah, and our country does have a problem with informed consent all the way down to the school districts, trying to medicate kids and medicate people with, instead of treating them for mental illness. I mean, informed consent is a huge issue in our nation.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's a great way to end it. Good job, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. I'm going to send us to break, and when we come back, we'll cover what's coming up next for the board report.
All right, cool.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks, Deanna.
Thanks, y'all.
Yes.
Pay attention every second. Don't pay attention every second. Don't do stupid shit.
Tired of the same old workout? Tired of the same old workout? Come knock out your fitness goals at Gus Curran's House of Champions. Founded in 1996, right here in Vero Beach, Florida. Our Hall of Fame trainers will push you to your limits and beyond. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, we have the perfect class for you, including the one-of-a-kind Rock-Steady Parkinson's training. So come join the fight and unleash the champion inside you. Give them a call, 772-713-1157, or go to gchouseofchampions.com.
Every second. Don't do stupid shit.
Hey, guys. I hope that's playing good for everybody. I keep hearing an echo. I don't know what it is. But great show, and informative. Most people don't know anything about the flora. I don't know. Now I know that it's just being sold as a sham for special interest, pretty much. I don't really see a benefit.
Yeah, that was interesting when he talked about where the fluoride comes from. The chemical waste from phosphate. When he started to mention that, I was like, "Oh, that doesn't sound very healthy at all."
That's what it comes down to. I mean, that's like you said, informed consent is key, and that's what that's what people have to realize is that, why are they putting it in? If it's not good for us, then why are they putting it in the water when they should be putting something that has more minerals and more stuff that's good for us, than the crap. And I drink a lot of bottled water. I mean, here you go. I mean, I have a ton of bottled water, and I think that I'm drinking something that's better than taking it out of the faucet. But Justin basically told me that I'm wasting my time drinking this too. But so I mean,
yeah, but you know what? Out in my area, the groundwater sometimes has me worried because this was all it was swamp, and then it was Groveland, and then the property was just saturated, and now it's been backfilled and built on, and you saw JD Vance in East Palestine, Ohio, with the stick in the water. Well, you can sometimes get that here in the ditches and in the ponds, and it's what is seeping out of this ground? And I don't have a deep well, but when we moved here and I did some plumbing work, I noticed our pipes had a residue on the inside that was just I had it tested, and there was nothing bad in it, but it's almost like there was. There's something's in there. I don't know. I flushed our pipes and chlorinated all that just to kill off whatever bacteria might have been there, and it seemed to help. But I just think it's crazy that they play with our drinking water. But I'm not surprised. I mean, and I'm not surprised. He could have told me that it's they put it in there for the alien people, that they just don't tell us that, and or the lizard people, and I would have believed it, because I mean, everything now since 2020, it's uncovered, and if they don't give you a real answer, then you can just assume the worst freaking case, and they're poisonous. They're poisoning them.
Not to mention, like you said about the soil. The soil's getting saturated and get contaminated from the rainwater, that whatever they're spraying in the sky is creating the cloud seeding, and that's getting into the ground too. So that's why we have hardly have any citrus anymore, because of that reason too. The soil's being poisoned the same way. It's the same thing. Remember that the well water comes from the rainwater, soaks, seeps into the ground, into your well, and so then that well water is coming back up. So it's a vicious cycle. Now we're starting to realize that, and that's what's being uncovered. That's part of the Great Awakening and the process of people waking up to the fact that everything we've been told is a sham. It's a lie. And this is just a part of it. And this is what we're exploring. Speaking
of getting lied to, Joanne, you mentioned something about the J6ers getting kicked out of CPAC. Can you tell us more about that?
That was blowing me away because I like Mercedes Schlapp, because one of my favorite shows is the 10 p.m. Chris Plant show, and they are in charge of the CPAC. And the J6ers, Jake Lang bought 22 tickets for J6ers to show up. He had a booth there. This was his second year at CPAC having a booth. And they ripped his credentials. They just told him, no, your credentials are no good. You have to leave. And he's like, wait, what are you talking about? So they threw out him and several other J6ers. And then the next day, Matt Schlapp apparently called them back. That's what he said on his Facebook, on his X page, called them back and told them that they can come back. And then when they went back, they stopped them again and kicked him out. And they rough-housed one of the younger guys in the group, grabbed his credentials and literally pulled them off his body. And he was literally running out the door, trying to get out the door, and they're trying to manhandle him. So that was caught on footage. And then,
so which event was this? Which part of CPAC?
That was yesterday, the day before yesterday. It was in Maryland. They were holding CPAC. The CPAC was in Maryland.
Right. Eddie.
Yeah, I saw that video. Eddie interviewed the Proud Boys guy. He got in. He got his credentials.
Yeah, they had a bunch of them from PPN are there right now.
Yeah, but some of the J6ers did get their credentials back. I did see that Eddie had showed.
Yeah, Eddie Tario. Is that his name?
Yeah.
There was, I think there was like 10 that got their credentials back that went in.
They did.
Yeah. And but it just made no sense what was going on. And then Matthew Stone, Roger Stone's son, was doing a podcast standing right next to Matt Schlapp's booth. And he said that he heard Matt Schlapp laughing about pulling the credentials of the J6ers. So that's all on X. You can find that on X. I reposted it on my X page so people can see it, because on the CPAC page, they were saying, oh, this was just not happening. And I was like, hey, there's actual footage of it happening. It's not like
download that video before it's removed.
Yeah, it's actually happening.
So do you have anything planned for Binford Chronicles this week?
I do not have anything planned for Binford Chronicles this week. I'm trying to get a hold of that sheriff in California, because he's been talking against the border, and the deportations. He's been talking against them shutting him down, and he's like, that's not going to happen. I'm going to deport and arrest illegals. So he's total constitutional, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him. But I really want to get a hold of him and talk to him about what's going on there in California.
Yeah, somebody that follows the Constitution coming out of California.
It's exciting.
Pretty crazy.
It's Riverside. I think it's Riverside, California. So I'm like, wow, there's a constitutionalist in California. I want to talk to that man.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
John, how about TGI now? What do you guys got going on this coming week? Next week?
This week we're gonna have I believe I have it penciled in. Megan Walsh is going to be on the show to discuss her upcoming new podcast she's launching. Yeah, so she's got a podcast she's launching called America's Most Corrupt. So she's going full force straight on into the whole USAID and Doge and so she's going to expose what she can because she's seen what's going on behind the scenes. So I'm looking forward to having that. That might be a pretty interesting show to get into. So.
Now's her time, just like Justin said, ride the wave of momentum.
Yep.
That now she might find that to get the real exposure. And I was actually talking to somebody I ran into in a grocery store locally, and the last name came up, and they were just like, there's something wrong with that guy. There's something wrong with that guy. There's something not right there. And they really didn't know her story. They didn't know of her at all or her story at all.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, oh, you don't even know the half of it. You think you have a feeling. You should know something. It's like
Exactly.
but,
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
local.
Yeah, it is. It's local. Yeah.
Yeah. On
So,
go ahead, Joanne.
So I was going to say that little rally with the Democrats, and too bad we didn't have Thomas on. I really wanted to hear about that rally. Did you? Any of you guys know anything about that rally?
No. Thomas covered it, but I didn't get out there.
I saw some pictures from some family that works in the area, and I didn't see any Biden flags. So I think there was one person in there smarter than the rest that said, "Hey, don't run those," because we know they were there. And but again, like I said, I made a comment in a group text that it's going to take one person that organizes these things to just pull from the other victimhoods, and they'll have a good showing. And it looked like a pretty good showing. I mean, it's not going to stop anything.
No.
I think it's time to move on with some of this stuff. And I was actually talking to a liberal. I call him a liberal. He's liberal, but he's classic liberal. He's dealing with culture things in his family and stuff like that. But I think he's more along the lines of the old classic liberal that's like, screw this PC crap and this and that. But he's still not a full blown Republican. But then again, I can't say that I am either.
Wait till they get their Doge dividend checks, then they'll be like, oh, maybe it's not so bad after all.
Yeah, it's funny because I work in area where I've got different types of diversity around me, and I get questions about what's going on all the time, and they ask, that's what they're like, is it really, are we really getting $5,000? And I'm like, I don't know where you get these numbers from. Maybe, I don't know. I hope not. I hope they put it back into the debt clock and make that thing go backwards. But
I think they're going to do a little bit of everything. So I think you're going to see some crazy stuff pop off here in the next month or two. So it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah. Now that Patel has been confirmed, I want to see what's really gonna happen.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's going to be interesting. We'll have plenty to talk about. What do you got going, Mike? On To the Point.
Just episode 107 on the Patriot Prayer Network for To the Point podcast, and nothing extraordinary. I mean, I don't run out of things to talk about. It's always like I can't prep. You can't prep until the day of, because
I do.
Exactly. You can say, is Trump going to do this? And by the time it's showtime, Trump's done it. So the show descriptions are wasted and all that. So we have fun, and we're glad to be a part of the Patriot Prayer Network. And it gives us a little more exposure and some enlightenment on how to make these things work too. So I look forward to more board reports. Next week, we're doing school board update, right?
School board meeting is next Monday. Yeah. So
do we have any idea on what's on their agenda for this month's meeting?
Don't have anything as of now. No.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Thomas or Clark Kent gets his hoopty fix.
Yeah. Right.
Riley's trying to.
They're supposed to have another desegregation workshop, but I didn't see that one go up unless I missed it.
All right. Well, we'll have something for sure. So we'll have Thomas hopefully back on again, and then Moms for Liberty. We'll have the 18 back, so that'll be good.
Yep, and I won't be here on Friday. I won't be here for that one.
Joanne's taking a PTO day. So thanks, guys, for another great show.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week, or catch us on Tuesday nights.
Or see you guys later. The replay.
Yep.
Indian River Connections brings you the first source you can watch for truth on board decisions in Indian River County. The Board Report, where taxpayers and policymakers intersect. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to get notified when we go live on Fridays at 7 p.m. Visit IndianRiverConnections.com for more. Sponsored by Gus Curran's House of Champions.